Hi everyone, welcome back to my garden. It's Ann at Martin House Flowers. In today's video, I thought I would share with you some of the August blooms in the garden. And also, I've been collecting a few buds and flowers for my daughter's upcoming wedding in September. I had offered to make her veil and a flower crown. I've made a few veils, but I've never tried a flower crown, so looking forward to doing that. Flowers that I started to dry from the garden are some gomphrena, this is globe amaranth, and I did try some buds of chamomile, feverfew, and that is straw flower. I'm trying to look for some paler blush colors, and marigolds. Marigolds are one of her main feature flowers in her wedding. I'm looking forward to seeing this installation that her florist is doing in the ceiling of hanging marigolds. So I'm going to see if I can include some marigolds dried. As you can see there, I'm trying a couple methods. That's a silica gel method, hanging some upside down in a closet, just air drying a few buds. So I'm trying to pick some pale colors, and then hopefully by the end of this week, I'll be able to dry some and make a flower crown to take to her to Toronto this coming weekend. So over the weekend, we've been wanting to paint the front door, and Greg took it upon himself to paint the front door. We had thought about doing a color, but in the end, we decided to just go with our neutral charcoal, almost a black door, and I think that was probably the best idea since we couldn't commit to a color. So getting back to the garden, I wanted to share with you some of my beautiful blooms. This is Sweet Suzanne dahlia. I'm really happy with this dahlia. This is in my south facing garden, and together we planted 13 dahlia tubers that I pre-sprouted in the greenhouse. Now in the greenhouse, my cucumbers have been going crazy. I like to call this my Jack and the Beanstalk. Look at that. It's climbing all the way to the ceiling, yet on the other side, you'll see that it's not performing as well. I got these antique mason jars that are actually made in Canada at that last garden walk. The master gardeners had a little tent with some recycled garden items. So here's some asters that have finally bloomed. I did not have great luck with growing asters from seed this year. A lot of my seedlings had aphids, so that is all I can seem to find in the garden. I must have planted a few in containers. We had some rain over the weekend, so my portulaca here on the potting bench is doing really well. I'm really thrilled with it. I'm so glad I found those at that nursery out in Sandwich, Illinois. And here's my orange hat tomatoes from seed. And I'm just showing you here my boxwood. I decided to fertilize it over the weekend. It's looking a little bit stressed. I'm hoping that it recovers nicely. Those are twist and shout lace cap hydrangeas. They already had some dried blooms, so I gave them a little deadheading. These are Endless Summer hydrangeas, the originals, and they've also dried up a little bit, but yet I have some new blooms, which are the pink ones that you can see. And this pulmonaria, I was showing in previous videos that the hostas were covering them, even though I moved them forward in the spring. So I did cut back some of the hosta leaves to expose them a little better. I also fertilized my container here. This is my Bali hibiscus that was also getting a little too much heat, I think. and sun. It loves the sun, but I did notice that it was shedding a lot more this year. But we got some rain, as I mentioned, over the weekend, so I'm really glad about that. These are Kilimanjaro white marigolds. I did not try to dry those for my daughter's wedding. I'm worried that they'll dry a little bit too brown because I noticed marigolds in the orange family are drying very dark. So I'm worried that these would dry more brown than pale yellow. We're coming along the walkway with the lavender, gomphrena, and geraniums. One of the lavender is struggling. There's my lavender and my zinnias I've shown you before, and the boxwood at my front walkway. One of the reasons why I like doing garden walks or garden tours is first thing in the morning after I've walked Eddie, I like to take a little bit of a scan around to see what needs work. So after this video, you'll see a few of the roses needed deadheading. There's a nice bloom of Earth Angel. This rose is doing very well this spring, summer. It's quite healthy in comparison to some of the other David Austin roses that I got bare root. So there's a dahlia that should be blooming soon. I can't wait to see what it is. I think it's another dinner plate. Wanted to come and take a look at one of my prolific roses. This is Tchaikovsky. So he's doing very well this year. Not too badly with regard to black spots. So we're back here again at this dahlia. Just love these. I love how there's sort of a reddish stripe in the middle. There's the lavender that we planted in the last video. I have not watered it since I planted it because I knew we had rain. I think I watered it the day I planted it, but since then I've let the rain take care of it. So there's the door looking nice and matte. I haven't hung anything yet. I think together in a few weeks we'll do a fall basket. Look at those, blew my mind. So as you can see here, my gomphrena and ageratum are starting to get a little overgrown and the ageratum's falling a bit. I think I need to go out there and give those a little pruning. And there are my alliums behind my angel, surrounding my angel. And I think these might be serendipity, or they could be another variety. To be honest, I'm not quite sure. And look how huge Kiss Me Kate has gotten. I'm really looking forward to some second blooms. She's really gotten huge this year and healthy. So we're here at the long bed with my roses. There's Queen of Sweden. Now it's looking quite a bit softer pink, whereas in the bud stage, you can see how apricot she looks. There's a second one beside it, not nearly as healthy as the one on the far right. This is one of my favorite roses, Princess Alexandra of Kent. She is a wonderful cutting rose. I've mentioned before that her blooms last up to 10 days in a vase. So I decided to come along the front here so that you didn't see too many of the weeds. After this tour, I came out here and weeded all of this horrible creeping Charlie, or whatever it might be, whatever this creeping weed is. I'm not sure if I confirmed through my plant app if it's in fact creeping Charlie, but some people think it is. So this is Emily Bronte. I have to say that her blooms have been very underwhelming. She does get very big and very healthy, but the blooms, as I mentioned, are really underwhelming. This is Perfuma Madame Anisette. She's a nice, fragrant, pale yellow rose. And these we just planted this spring. These are Perfuma Summer Romance. So they're quite young still. There is Arctic Blue, and that is my arbor filled with New Dawn. Isn't she lovely? She's just such a beautiful, classic, pale pink rose. So this is her second flush. And this was something that I definitely needed to take care of today. After filming this video, I spent some time with zip ties and tried to pull in some of her branches. Living Large Blue Sky Salvia. There's Lady of Shalott in the front. She just finished having a couple blooms. At the bottom, that's the Eden Climber, still waiting to bloom. There's Scepter Dial, very delicate David Austin rose. I did order a Sprinter boxwood for one of those dead spireas. We'll plant in another video. And I did move my hanging baskets from the greenhouse with my petunias that I grew from seed. These were in the greenhouse all summer, but they were starting to get really fried, so I brought them out here, took down my Harbor Bell for now. So these are some violet petunias, and then Bellissima, the ruffled petunia on the right. Not sure if I will do these again next year. I might look for a different variety, but petunias were definitely easy to grow. My lavender chiffon Rose of Sharon. There's my Boscabelle. This is her first year. I have to say that all three roses right here, this is Tranquility. So those two, and then now I'm noticing in here, this older rose, it's 3 years old, it's also getting some black spot. And I don't know if there's so much moisture on the side here. That's Bobo Hydrangeas and Little Lime. They're getting a bit of yellowing leaves on the inside. And I don't know if it's just from too much moisture, too much heat and sun, because this gets afternoon sun, I should say, morning shade. And I have started cutting on these zinnias that I planted in between my Quickfire Fab hydrangeas. And look at my pear tree. Keep checking on whether it's time to pull or harvest some fruit. I'm really loving these zinnias here. So here's that peach tree we planted together, the Reliance peach that we picked up at the nursery in Millbrook, Illinois. Quickfire Fab, they're starting to brown. I'm a little disappointed. I think it's from the heat. They usually go soft pink from the cool evenings, but now I'm noticing some of them getting a little brown. So as I mentioned, I have been cutting on some of these zinnias on the side here. I only planted 6 or 7 little seedlings in the ground in between these beautiful Quickfire Fabs because I did give lots of space between the shrubs. So until they fill in, I think this is going to be a great spot for zinnias. So those very wild looking branches just shooting to the right and left of this arbor. I did end up zip tying back after this video. So I decided to come in here while it was still shaded. After I saw what needed to be done, I decided to pull all those sweet peas off that fencing because I noticed some of that weed, that white weed there. It looks like a flower, but those white weeds were starting to entangle with the sweet peas. So I came in here after and worked on that. So there's the feverfew that I did try to dry, and I noticed the white does not dry very well. But I did notice a couple blooms right here of that straw flower that's not as pink, a little more creamy color. So I'm definitely going to cut some of these buds. That one's too pink. And I'll try to incorporate them in my flower crown for my daughter. The zinnias really enjoyed getting all of that extra rain. They were starting to look a little bit stressed and dry at the base, so I'm glad we got lots of rain. Same with cosmos. They really could have used some rain, and I have been cutting on both my zinnias and cosmos over the past few weeks as I build my bouquets and mason jars. So they're definitely a cut and come again flower. Zinnias and cosmos, as well as snapdragons. Right here, these 4 beds are my most reliable cut flowers. Snapdragons, these are needing more deadheading. The yellow Potomac series, the Monaco orange were the earliest, and the lavender right there, the lavender looks a little bit lavender pink. Those are definitely the most prolific in the Potomac series. Just looking back here at the ageratum. Next year I'm ordering the taller ageratum. Oops, I left my bucket out from the night before. I love that. I think that's a purple Potomac or royal. It might be called royal Potomac. I'm ordering more of those seeds. Now look at my sunflowers. These seeds are from Johnny's. These are Pro-Cut White Knight. They are pollenless and they are just 1 flower per stalk. I now have 3 sunflowers here, and I am realizing that they're a little large for bouquets, and I do need to pull off more of those sweet peas on the left. And that's the Pilgrim Rose. Look how tall she's gotten. The Pilgrim is doing really well. Look at that stalk. Look at that cane. And then over here we have Claire Austin, who's a little slower, but nevertheless, I've got a couple of beautiful blooms. They're both the Pilgrim and Claire Austin are very pale yellow. And look at these teddy bear sunflowers. I did include one of the blooms that was just starting to open up in my mason jar arrangement for Barb's. I brought her 2 yesterday. So here is one of my problems. That is a Baptisia, the Proven Winners variety. This happened last year, but in the spring there were new buds coming from the ground. So I should probably cut it back all the way to the ground. And this is my Rising Sun red bud that struggled in the spring, but you can see some of the larger leaves, the golden leaves, are doing much better. So it seems like the second set of leaves are much healthier, whereas the first set do have some brown spot on it, some kind of fungal disease. It's Fat Albert, the sunflowers again, looking back at the cut flower garden. And here we are at the kitchen garden, which I needed to come in and give a good cleanup. I moved my basket of strawberries from seed from the greenhouse into the kitchen garden. One of them is looking more promising than the other. Look at those peppers, they're starting to fruit. We're getting tiny little peppers coming out, and I did need to clean up a lot of this extra branching. I did come in here and cut back a lot of this excess. When you have tomatoes that don't have the little florets on them, it's safe to cut them back because you do want them to minimize those extra branches that are just greenery and taking energy from the fruit. So just looking back at the hydrangea room, my delphiniums over here, they're doing really well. I think that's the original delphinium plant. The newer ones are just eh. And these are bloom-struck hydrangeas, which I have been adding coffee beans to in the early spring into the summer. obviously not working. I read somewhere that that needs to be done in the winter time. Who knew? I did not apply aluminum sulfate, but I did fertilize with Hollytone. So here we are. This is my rosemary topiary I got at Redbud Creek Farm. My containers with Mandevilla, Dichondra Silver Falls, and the deep purple sweet potato vine. Look how well those are doing. I keep looking at these fresco trailing hydrangeas, fairy tale fresco, and they do look like they might bloom. I would really love to hear from you if you have grown fairy tale fresco. Did it bloom for you this year? Do you have it in the ground? And look at those pollinators working at the bee balm. I planted that bee balm from seed through my winter sowing jugs, and I'm so thrilled with them. I really want to plant them back into the landscape so that they will perennialize, hopefully. Now look at that. Who knew that the sweet potato vine would have these beautiful lavender florets? Did you know that the purple or burgundy sweet potato vine eventually produces a flower? I had no idea. This rose is becoming one of my favorite, Princess Alexandra of Kent. She is just such a big, beautiful bloom, so prolific. She doesn't have much of a scent, but I still love her. Just looking back at my trees. Haven't quite decided if we're going to plant behind the trees. Definitely not this year, maybe next spring. There is my Pinky Winky Prime, still quite small. And filling in the space back here, my sunflowers. We'll see what happens, which ones I planted. And my hedge of little lime hydrangeas. I love the foliage on that String Theory Blue Amsonia. And the white gomphrena, look how large they've gotten back here. So big, almost taking over those Let's Dance sky views. Turtlehead is about to bloom soon. Turns out it is a fall bloomer. And those are Firelight Tidbit hydrangeas. 2 of the 3 are blooming. And the Pincushion Scabiosa, the lavender blue that we planted together, is looking really healthy. My Joey Winnie dahlias back here that need to be kind of staked together. Snapdragons, my topiary, and we're back here at my potting bench. So let me know if you're interested in seeing me build the flower crown for my daughter's wedding, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.